You're listening to We Do Recover, the podcast that proves recovery is possible and connection is powerful. In today's episode, Jared Miller interviews Sarah Kappos about her recovery journey, creative expression in recovery, and her innovative projects like Mentor and Muse. They explore the importance of art, community, and curiosity in healing and personal growth. Let's jump into today's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 182. Today I have an amazing guest here, Sarah Kappos. Sarah, you've got quite the outfit on. Talk to me about, you're in the southern Utah area. You explained to me before we started recording, but...
Yeah. You want to know about this hot pink outfit? So I'm down here actually with a group of 12 mental health professionals who are getting their master's degree. And so the purpose of coming down here is just to nurture, unwind. I'm facilitating writing circles, probably 2 writing circles while we're here. These people are so high performing and care so much about what they're doing. And it's hard work. And then at the same time, they're getting a master's degree. And so
which is a lot and stressful.
They need some nurturing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was getting ready to come here and I was like, oh, I need to get dressed. But all I brought is like swimsuits and sarongs because we're not doing anything serious. We're just basking.
I like it. I Facebook stalked you when we both chatted about having you come on my podcast. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you're a modern day hippie, right? I mean, it fits. I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive.
It's not offensive.
That's the vibe, right?
You know, what's funny. So when I was 16, I was even then a modern day hippie because the real hippies were in the 60s. But it's funny how I've come back around to stuff that I loved when I was a teenager. I love that about getting older. There's kind of this middle period where you're like, I'm like trying to be something. Now I'm like, dude, I love to be barefoot. I love to wear sarongs.
Return to your roots.
I have a bus in my driveway. Yeah.
Well, we're going to get to all that. Get to all that. I appreciate you coming down to Southern Utah and contacting me and getting on my podcast. Before we jump into getting to know you a little bit more and hearing some of your story, just want to give a shout out to our trusted resources. I mean, Detox is a trusted resource of this podcast. Every recovery journey starts with a detox. You got to get that body physically stable enough to get the mind well and get the social aspect up and all the other elements that go into a good recovery. So check out our trusted resource, Diamond Detox. You can give them a call at 385-988-5332, or you can check out their website. That's going to be diamonddetox.com. Our second trusted resource is going to be Renaissance Ranch. Renaissance Ranch is a gender-specific program. So what does that mean? That means the guys are with the guys, the gals are with the gals. Everyone's a little bit more focused. I have talked about this on former episodes on my podcast. I'm a huge advocate for gender-specific treatment just because there for a little while, it's really good to focus, do some internal work. You can get a hold of Renaissance Ranch at 801-308-8898, or you can check out their website at renaissanceranch.com. Last but not least, Rise Up Supplements. If you or a loved one, is interested in a nootropic supplement, check out Rise Up Supplements. There's 2 blends. One is Mind Shift, helps increase focus and optimize brain function. The other is Mindful Mood, helps ease anxiety. Check out Rise Up Supplements at riseupsups.com. At checkout, punch in promo code podcast20 in all caps to save yourself 20% off. Okay. That's the resources of this podcast.
Awesome. Cool.
So, Sarah, where do we begin? Are you a person in long-term recovery?
I am. Yeah. I've been in recovery since May of 2005. And before that, I was circling recovery, I would say. My mother's been in recovery since February of 1998. So there's a history of recovery. It's woven into my family. And so, yeah, it's been so many different forms. Like what I would call recovery now is very, very different than in 2005, the way that I would have thought about it. the way I think about being of service, what it means to be of service, how to be of service, how to engage in the community, that really gave roots to my life. Like I have a strong loyalty to that period of time where I was really shown the door to a spiritual path that was so much bigger than I could have even fathomed. And when I went to an outpatient program.
I was going to say, I love this. I have an analytical brain. Can we do
Please.
this timeline on like a beginning to end? Talk to me about what is active addiction.
I'm going to tell you right now. So you're talking to a poet, and poets, like the longer they're poets, the less linear time becomes. But I will do my best.
Between the two of us, this is going to be a great episode.
It's funny. So my business partner is the linear guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the combination is actually fantastic.
I was going to say, opposites make a great team.
True. It's true. So, 2005, I was 25 years old. Like I said, I was familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous and all of that. I was familiar with the recovery lingo, and I just didn't want to hear it. My mom would say things to me like, I just really think what you need is recovery. And I was like, ugh, like it's like any other institution that the well-meaning adults are telling the like young person who's hell-bent on destroying everything. To me, it represented giving up on this creative path that I wanted to be on, which kind of the linear is going to be tough for this girl because my identity as somebody who was a drinker was all wrapped up in my identity as an artist and a poet. And so I didn't want to give that up. I didn't want to be stifled, and it felt stifling to me.
And in your mind, they were one and the same. You couldn't separate the two?
No.
Back then?
I mean, well, in my mind, that's what an artist is. That's what so many of my favorite poets were doing, is they were getting as drunk and high as they could and reaching for the cosmos. Like I loved Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg and all of those beat poets. I loved Charles Bukowski. I loved what I felt like they were doing was really counterculture. And I needed to be a part of the counterculture, and drinking just went along with that. So I was in full-blown rebellion from anything that was conservative or smelled at all like religion. I was just like, no.
For those of you listening to this, she flipped the camera off as she said no very strongly. Okay, so you're a free spirit.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
I still am.
Much has changed. Yeah,
I still am. Which is great. I could remain a free spirit and get sober, which is wonderful.
One of the things that I don't think is mentioned enough is the attraction, not promotion. I don't know about you, but when I see people just getting beat over the head with an AA or an NA or recovery lingo 2x4, I think to myself, they're not going to want to do that if they're just continued to be badgered to do that. And I went through the same thing where it's like, everybody's telling me I have to do this. Mm-hmm. Therefore, guess what I'm not going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like you had a similar experience.
Yeah. And I love that you brought in even the term lingo, because the work that I do now is all about creative language. It's all about using creativity to write your own prayers, be curious about your own story, use music, use different art forms as a complement to recovery and spiritual path. And it is, as some people know this language, broad, roomy, and all-inclusive, which means that we can be creative with it. It doesn't have to be dogmatic. So,
can I say this, though? Yeah. Because I do want to give credit where credit is due. Nothing, and I mean nothing, worked for me until I let go of that pride.
Yeah, you need some rules.
And I started working some AA.
Yeah, you need
so I got to get that out there, right?
Sure, yeah.
I tried MAT. Just anything and everything except the 12 steps in the rooms. So I do got to give credit where credit's due.
Sure. And I mean, any artist that's worth anything, no matter what their medium, whether they're a musician, a painter, a writer, they'll tell you, you have to learn the rules before you can be creative. You have to learn language. You have to learn how to write. You have to learn the different literary formats. You have to learn the musical scale. You have to learn the color wheel. You have to learn about balance and harmony. Like, there are rules, and you have to learn the rules. And I definitely went through that period of discipleship where I was just learning the rules, and I was discovering, to my delight, that actually if you learn the rules, you're way more creative and way more free than you ever could have been without that discipline. So absolutely. Like, I had that period.
Yeah. When you say rules, I think of systems, but rules are within systems, right?
Sure. I mean, it's the same. Yeah. I mean, it's basically saying, this is how this works. And it doesn't matter what you think or feel about it, because this is how it works. And we've heard that. This is how it works.
Sure.
Whether you like it or not.
So what did that look like in 2005? You've had an alcohol kind of love, romantic relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, and then we got so sick. So sick. My oldest daughter was 2 years old at the time. And one of the primary moments of clarity was she had gone on a trip with her dad. They were in Mexico. She was wearing a dress that's actually this color. This is fuchsia, by the way. My mom brought her to see me at the park. I was maybe 1 day sober. I was sick. I felt horrible. The sun, you know how when you're in that sick next day hungover state and the sun makes you nauseous?
Oh,
like,
sure.
that was me. And my mom brought her to Liberty Park, and she came running across the green grass in her fuchsia dress. And I can feel it right now in my heart. The moment was clear message. How much more do you have to lose before you're going to be willing to change?
Mm.
And that was it. That was the beginning. That was the invitation to a spiritual journey that was mine. There was a lot of instruction that happened after that, but what a gift to, it wasn't something that somebody else was telling me that I needed to do. It wasn't anything prescribed by anyone. It was a clear message of the Spirit and of my heart. And so that was the beginning.
Thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it in your eyes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that moment meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
And I've never heard it painted that way before. An invitation, almost from the universe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People use a lot of words. Some people call it calling. I've certainly experienced moments of calling before.
Or spiritual awakening is a popular one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The team at Diamond Detox is compassionate, helpful, and trained to support every step of the healing journey. Your loved one's path to a healthier, happier life starts with a free and easy 20 to 30-minute assessment over the phone or a few questions submitted online on the Diamond Detox website. Assessments and admissions occur 7 days a week, depending on availability. To begin the path to recovery, visit diamonddetox.com or call 385-988-5332.
That was a moment of grace. What followed was a whole bunch of not grace and me sitting and deconstructing everything intellectually, but coming back always to that moment of grace, always coming back to that moment. And so I did go all the way through that whole process of taking steps to mend the past and learning how to take inventory, learning how to be of service, learning how to do all of those fundamentals that any spiritual path is going to tell you to do.
Yeah, the principles.
It's going to, they're going to come into your heart, pray, tell the truth, be of service to your fellow humans. This is a universal thing. And
be able to self-reflect and self-correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Meditate.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because now, why would I ever not want to do that? I mean, my journey in recovery, I could go into stories about drinking and how it was and what I did. And I remember in the beginning, I really liked that when people would do that. Like, I liked hearing those stories and I found it really helpful. And then I would be confused when I would hear people say things like, I don't really want to talk about that anymore. And I would be like, what do you mean you don't want to talk about that anymore? But now I'm one of those people that's like, I don't really want to talk about that. I could tell you some stories, but
Yeah, I've noticed, and free format, like this is your episode. And I love that we're literally starting on alcohol was the problem. Here is my spiritual awakening. That's usually like a halfway point in people's story, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
And so I think it's beautiful that, and a little refreshing to be like, yeah, that is what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, your stories are unique to you, but similar to others, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, we've all been there. We all know what that looks like. The problem is very vivid in my mind. And I believe in minds of those of us that have had this experience.
Yeah. And I think there are different stories, different teachers for people at certain times. And so the story that I am telling at this time is a story for people for whom it's useful. And there are lots of people who are telling other stories, and that's great. For me right now, there's so much more in my life now than I can even remember about before 2005. So
this is going to be kind of a journey of the phases of you in recovery.
Yeah, I think so.
I like that.
That's a lot more live for me right now. I talk with my partner often about this idea of beyond the beginning, and that there's so much that is beyond the beginning. The early 12-step people would talk about that, actually that phrase, like, we realize this is only a beginning. And even when the 12 steps were first mushroomed, as they call it, and exploded out into the world, it was only the beginning. And so we have learned so much since then. It's been almost 100 years since that really became the way for people to find recovery. And so
Bill and Bob kind of founded it back in like the late 1930s, whether it was 38 or 39, I don't remember off the top of my head, but right around then.
Yeah.
So you're right, we are coming up on, not even a decade shy of 100 years.
I know, crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
But when you think about it, it's really not that long ago.
No.
Right? Like, it is, but it's not.
Right.
Anyways, continue.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, it's now. See, I'm bending time for you right now. But I think that there is, what they did was they showed that the alcoholic is a certain archetype, a certain pattern of behavior, and they took the morality out of it, and they were like, here is part of how this is working in the human story, and here's what we might be able to do about it. And so since we stopped trying to decide whether it was good or bad to be a person who is in an addiction, like, so much more has been learned, because once it's just a moral decision, you're good or bad, like, that's it. But we have become curious about addiction, and our curiosity about addiction has made so many new things available to us. That was something that was very important to me in my early recovery, was this isn't about whether you're good or bad. This is about sickness, both physical sickness and spiritual sickness. And there are ways for you to heal that. So important for me.
I love that. So I work as a clinician, right? And one of the first things I say to a client is, if we're going to be effective, you have to put the judgment down and pick up curiosity.
Yes. Yeah. I love that you say that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because if all you're doing, as you're kind of recalling some of the trauma and some of the memories and, the root of the addiction, and if all you're doing is just beating yourself up and judging yourself, and there's a lot of heavy shame, a lot of heavy guilt, man, that makes me want to go have a beer. Versus if we can take a look at some stuff with curiosity, maybe even laugh at some of the stuff of the version of ourselves back then, maybe we can learn something from that and get something out of that. And that's way more helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so I'm a rock climber at times. I've gone through many seasons of being a rock climber. I'm currently dreaming of being a rock climber again. But something that I always find fascinating about climbing is, if you're climbing scared, you can't see the moves that are right there. If you're like like a scared cat and you're just like holding on and you're like, your adrenaline is peaked and you're like sweating and you can't take a breath, look at your feet. You can't be curious. And so you can make no moves and then you fall.
So true. Can I use a golf analogy?
Yeah, please.
I mean, can I just point out something real fast? For those of you that are not watching this, you're just listening to this, I'm here in a Travis Matthews golf outfit because I'm an avid golfer, very logically minded clinician, right? We are on two. Sarah over here is sitting in, I'll let you describe it.
Okay. Well, for one, I don't have any shoes on. I'm sitting here in bare feet.
She's sitting in meditation style.
Wearing turquoise and tiger's eye and a hummingbird. And what is this? I'm not sure what this stone is.
But basically a swimsuit with a
swimsuit with a sarong. Yeah.
With a sarong. Okay. So we're in two separate worlds right now. And I love that, right? And you gave the analogy of the rock climbing. There's an analogy in golf that goes like this. If you want to shoot low, in other words, if you want to score low, you can't be afraid to shoot high.
Right. Yes.
Like if you go into it thinking, I want to shoot low, you've got to take some chances and you got to make some risks and right. You got to play free. You can't be afraid of scoring high if you want to shoot low.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're tense, you're tight, you're right. The body doesn't find flow.
Totally. If you want to lead climb, you have to be willing to fall.
So
you can't climb if you're not willing to fall. And before you have that first fall, you're climbing at half of what you could be climbing.
So give me that analogy in recovery, because even though we are very two different people, I think we both have love for the same thing. And I love this.
Yeah.
Give me that analogy for the recovering person.
Well, that's why I care so much about this going beyond the beginning, is because first, in the beginning, we are just one day at a time, trying to stay sober, trying to do the next thing in front of us. We're kind of in crisis, like that crisis mindset that's just like can't be creative yet. And so in the beginning, I think that is helpful. It's the same way when you're dealing with anything really hard. Like my daughter, who was 2, now just had her first baby.
Wow. Congratulations.
Grandma. And I love it. But she jokes like, I can only do one thing at a time. Like I can do one thing a day. So when life is really hard, just do one thing a day. At some point, if recovery is to be not only sustainable, but fun, we need to move from that state to like being willing to fall or being willing to shoot high or whatever. Like we need to become willing to be like, all right, I'm going for it. And that shift is really difficult for a lot of people, going from this, I have to like make amends, pay my dues, living in fear of drinking or using or whatever, keeps the spirit in this really tiny little box. And so making the shift from that to believing maybe I don't have to be paying for my past for the rest of my life. And maybe it's so tender. Like maybe I can actually jump in and create something that I am thrilled about and find out what my edge is. I had a coach, a trainer say to me, like, you haven't found your edge yet. Go find your edge. You're not even close to your edge. And I was like, okay, I will. I want to. But yeah, like we could also be sending each other that message in recovery. Not only like, let's just stay sober today, but like once you can do that, what else could you do?
100%. And I am a 12-stepper. There's this frame of mind out there that you have to continue to work the steps. And the way I work it with my sponsor is there was 9 steps to freedom, 3 steps of maintenance. So I continue to do 10, 11, and 12, 10, 11, and 12, right? To stay in that maintenance phase. But I've done the steps like 3 times and I feel like I've done it thorough enough. And of course, I always have to turn my will over. Sure. Like there are times I have to acknowledge, okay, I'm not in control here. Especially I feel like,
what's the thing that gets you?
I have this conversation often. Like if I have in my mind that I'm supposed to do something and I go out and all I do is bang my head against a wall, that is a huge eye opener for me. Hey, stupid, you're in your will, not God's will or universe's will. In other words, if I go out there and I just continue to bang my head against the wall thinking that I'm supposed to do something, it's usually because I'm not on path.
In hippie language, we call that alignment.
Yeah, I'm not in alignment. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I totally dig what you're saying. And also too, I love this idea of make it yours. I love that people in recovery, like there's some people that start gyms that are recovery based. There's some people that, like currently right now, I came up through AA. The program I work today though is Dharma recovery, right? Just to try something different flavor. I'm very interested in Buddhism and, meditation and a spiritual connection through something different than what I was raised,
Watch out. You might end up wearing some weird stones or something if you do that.
I have weird stones.
Yes, I knew it.
But to your point, I think being able to find what works for you is a huge part of getting to the next gear in recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I really am in service of is that transition. Like, I can't even tell you how many people that I have talked to who in confidence will say to me, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Here's where I'm feeling like I might want to go in my life. But I'm so scared about what people in recovery will think about me if I am not on what people call the straight and narrow. And I think they seek me out as a confidant because I'm like all the way doing it. I'm not worried. And it's not because I don't care about other people. It's because I'm good with God. I am good. Like, I am so overwhelmingly grateful for my life and in love and service in my family. Like, I'm not confused. So people can, do whatever they do.
So talk to me about this though, because one of the things that I am big on is we don't have to be working the same program, but I do believe that when you get complacent and you stop working a program is usually when we get in trouble. So what does your program of recovery look like, to give an example for people out there who maybe are thinking like, here's my thought of doing something, but it's a little bit off the norm. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, I think.
And let's also point out you've been clean for a long time.
Yeah.
So in other words, if Joe is listening to this, right? Joe or John Deere is listening to this and they've been in recovery for 2 months, would you caution them to maybe stay on path with some traditional ways of recovery first?
I try not to tell people what to do ever. I don't like doing that. I don't find that very useful.
Do you understand my?
Yeah, I get it. We need some rules. We need to order our chaos somehow. I believe that. I believe that in order for people to find recovery, there's got to be some structure. I do believe that. That could take many forms. I mean, now more than ever. I would say in 2005, there weren't a lot of options. There's a lot of different structures now.
For sure.
And so what is going to be effective for somebody, I can't say. But what I liked about my experience was it was no bullshit. We are not thinking about things. We are not like, if you are acknowledging that you are in need of recovery and that you need to be sober and you need God's help, then we're not going to be wishy-washy about that at all. And I think that's really important. I think having discipline with self is important. And I do think that people can find it in different places. What does my recovery look like now? I think...
Yeah, like if I were to just ask you, like, Sarah, describe your program of recovery. Like, what is your recovery routine look like?
I don't have one. It's all integrated at this point. So, I mean,
I'm sure you have one.
I wake up in the morning. I'm an early riser. I get up around 5 o'clock in the morning. I light a candle. I write until my kids wake up, which is usually 2 hours-ish. I write prayers. I write fears. I write blessings. I write hopes. I write about things that are confusing to me. I sometimes write poetry. Sometimes I write letters to my grandma or my mom. But writing is the foundation. Writing is the one seat of prayer and meditation, and it is an everyday part of my life.
Nice.
So that is the beginning, and then the kids wake up, and then it's service all day, right? kids.
For sure.
I mean, I have a 5-year-old, I have a 14-year-old, I have a 16-year-old, I have a 23-year-old, and I have a new grandson. And so I'm not that worried generally about, I don't know, like myself when I'm doing that, but it's not also something that I'm trying to do. I'm just in it. I'm just washing the dishes, folding the laundry, driving kids around. I had this whole spiritual integration with the dishes where I hated the dishes and I was mad when I was washing the dishes and it shouldn't be like this. And then I challenged myself to be like, okay, the dishes are your new practice and you're going to bring gratitude to the dishes. And now I just wash the dishes.
I love it.
So you could say that's part of it.
But I would say, like, what you named is you're accountable. You said service, and I agree, but also you're accountable to those people. In other words, if you just went out and started drinking again, you most likely wouldn't be that version of yourself. So you're accountable to other people because you're of service to your kids and grandkid, and so that's part of your recovery program.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the whole way that I am participating in the larger recovery community, which is with Own It SLC has been around for 7 years. I've been working with artists in recovery and putting on shows, recording podcasts, teaching classes.
So for people that don't know what Own It SLC is, give them a 30,000 foot perspective.
Own It is the stage for artists in recovery. It's the way. It is a way, it's not the only way, but it is a way for us to support artists in making art a vital part of their recovery and supporting the really fucking scary endeavor of bringing the chaos of creativity back into your world, because I think that is a real challenge where people so often are like, I only did this when I was high. I don't know how to, or when I was drunk, I only sang when I was drunk. I don't know how to sing sober. So we support that, but also the practices of music and writing are the primary ones that we work with, but we'll work with any weirdo that comes our way. You know, we've had fire dancers and hula hoopers and comedians. And so I love that work. And that came from feeling, again, like it wasn't creative enough for me. So I got with Phil Millerberg, and Phil Millerberg is a rap artist and a recording artist in Salt Lake City. And I asked him to record an audiobook for me. And he had a studio in his closet.
Cool. And
I went there every single week. I was dedicated. And I went every week and I recorded. And he was like, who is this hippie girl? You know? And we just started talking about our frustrations. And I was like, you know, we should really own this and do something about it. And then Own It was born. So we threw our first show at the Beehive downtown on 666 South State Street, which was a great address for us to kick it off with. And we sold out that room. It was packed. And we were like, maybe this is a thing. So we kept doing it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I love about you and this episode is there's a lot of different paths to recovery out there. And there's a lot of human beings who have had this life experience known as addiction that are looking to connect with other human beings. And just because there's a predominant flavor or two out there doesn't mean that there's not a flavor for you if you're listening to this. Because the most important thing, in fact, old school AA, right? My first 5 years of recovery, when I ate it, slept it, breathed it. To your point, I was so scared that if I didn't go to my home group and didn't call my sponsor every day, that I was just going to slip in, a heroin needle and a bottle of alcohol, right? My sponsor said to me, he said, I want you to go 15 minutes early to the meeting and stay 15 minutes after. And he said, what happens in those 2 15-minute windows is just as important, if not more important than what's going on in the room. And I never really understood that for a long time. And frankly, now I get it. It's the connection. It's the relationships. It's getting to know people and what they like and what they don't like. And that is just as powerful as any kind of readings out of any kind of literature, I would argue, right?
Yeah.
Being around other people, getting to know other people, it's huge.
Yeah. Well, and to add to that, I feel like with what I'm doing with art and recovery is that we can get really stuck in expressive ruts where we're not really sharing ourselves anymore. We're repeating the rut that,
Yeah, the parakeet talk.
yes. And so that's what I'm interested in, is not only how can we, from a more creative and like fresh way, communicate ourselves to each other, but also to ourselves. So the creative process of going in after it, that's what we call it. You going after a piece, you going after a song, you going after a story, is a process of discovery. It's a process of finding out, what else am I? I know what I've been, but what else am I? Or how can I tell the rest of the story? I've told the story 27 times. What else is in this story? And so that's what I'm after for myself, is finding out, what more could I be doing? So in the last year, I started a nonprofit called Mentor and Muse. Well, I didn't. Myself, Thomas Robison, and Philip Millerberg started this nonprofit called Mentor and Muse, so that we could have resources to mentor artists in recovery more deeply. So it's not a 1-hour class while you're in treatment, but we take people on immersive artist workshops where we go for days and we really dive in and we
Nice.
really create. And we've released 2 albums. That organization is just like growing, just like Own It did, where we were like, what? Like, yeah, Mentor Muse is doing the same thing. And so I didn't know. That's me finding out what else I could do. I said to Philip, I said, we just need to get a bunch of artists and go to the desert and just see what happens. And so we went on the first workshop last year, and it was called the Leap of Faith trip. And on that Leap of Faith trip, we had an absolutely life-changing experience where we made way more music than we thought we were going to. I made a 50-minute documentary with my cell phone. And I had all this great footage that made me so happy, and I wanted to tell the story. And I was like, this is a great story. I'm just going to make a movie. Can you do that? Even if you've never made a movie, can you just make a movie? And so we did. And it's great. I love it. And we showed it. We projected it on the side of my Harvey the bus, which I can tell you about in a second. But that is me still finding that edge and like, what else could I do? What else could we create? And that is how recovery is not only sustained, but really alive and really in flow with God or the universe or whatever you want to call it. Like, we are creative beings. And so it hurts my heart to see people who are in recovery and who are still like, where's God? I can't find God. Like thinking that God is like something that they see other people experiencing and they can't. And they're frustrated and they're suffering. And that is where the curiosity is so important, because there are always new ways that we can be of service to each other and help each other not suffer. And so I really operate from this place of, if I can help, like if you can help, then help. And sometimes at this point in my life, I have like moments at the end of the day or in the morning when I wake up, where the things that I want to do in this lifetime feel so big. Like I care so much, and I can imagine so many wonderful things that I could do. And I just pray that I will have the resources and enough time to be able to do it, because I think that's one of the more painful things about being creative, is what you can imagine is so much bigger than what your little body can do, you know?
Sure.
But I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best.
Well, it sounds like you've already done quite a bit. You know,
Yeah.
I commend you.
Thanks.
And it sounds like you got a pretty cool, supportive crew.
They're
with ya,
awesome. Oh my gosh.
you know?
Yes. I'm so blessed. I don't know how this is happening, but I'm going with it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So,
The founders are Phil and Thomas, and then we have 2 new people who are apprenticing with us. and I couldn't have arranged it just happening.
That's the best way it does.
Yeah.
My name's Tyson Dixon. I'm in long-term recovery from drugs and alcohol. I went through Renaissance Ranch as a client in 2008. I was scared to walk into treatment, but I knew things had to change. I found hope, and I feel like I was part of a brotherhood. The staff at the ranch did a great job creating an environment for healing. I first heard that if we're not having fun in recovery, we're doing it wrong. I was so inspired with the professionals and the treatment community and industry going through the ranch. After I came through the ranch, I went to school, got my degree in counseling and psychology. Years later, ended up purchasing Renaissance Ranch with my family. In 2017, we took over the ranch, and we have since grown it to 14 different locations today, helping around 1,000 people or more. My main intention with my role in the ranch is to make sure people get the same high quality of care, love, and support that I got. If anyone is struggling or needs help, reach out. We got you.
Okay, so Sarah, let's dig in a little bit more to
Mentor and Muse.
Mentor and Muse.
Yes.
Let's dig in a little bit more into that. Just a couple questions. From what I understand, it's a nonprofit you guys have started. Do you basically offer services to go into treatment centers to introduce music and art and things like that? Or is it where you hold events outside of, like, help me really understand, like, I get the purpose, right? It's to provide a space for people to feel creative and free and maybe connect spiritually and find God or higher power. And thank you for the beautiful moment that you gave there. I always love when people can show vulnerability. Help me understand, for those people who are listening to this, what does it really look like, boots on the ground every day for you guys?
So boots on the ground is we are meeting 3 days a week with our team, building this program. It's very new. We are offering classes to treatment centers. We just finished up a session where we went in, met with their people, and we workshopped. We had a theme. We created music, or whatever piece these people come together with. Sometimes it's a collaboration between 3 people. What I love about my team is they're so skilled with their mediums, especially with like the writing and the music, that we don't have to know what it's going to be up front, because we can bring the skills and put them kind of underneath whatever people are wanting to create. So we love going in and being like, what do you guys want to do? But the goal, or what,
do you ever get nothing?
All the time.
Right.
And I'm like, are you alive?
Yeah.
Do you have a heart?
I ran a group today, literally, and I'm like, okay, guys, it's Friday. I got nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what do we want to talk about? Crickets.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we're doing a DPT style process group then, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. But what I love is when it's contagious. So like one person will give a little bit, and then somebody else, and then there's kind of like this hive that starts buzzing and ideas. And so I trust that process.
Nice.
I'm not worried about it. And what we're driving towards is a performance, is a show. So one of the things we talk about with Mentor and Muse is complete the circuit. The art is an energetic circuit where the artist wants to share with the audience gives energy to the artist
100%.
gives it back to you can feel this.
For sure.
That's why we love live music. So yes, we do that. We also do an open mic. We host an open mic every month. Our last one was so amazing. I never know who's going to come. And so that is free and just available for people to come, kind of have that first taste at the microphone. We also offer twice a year, I think. Like I said, this is our first year. Our goal is twice a year at least. The immersive artist workshop. So that is where, and why the nonprofit idea first came, is we want to be able to, as much as possible, scholarship people who are new in recovery to come. We rent a space. It's a space that's held by the mentors, myself, Thomas, and Philip. So there is a structure to it where we have family meals, we record music. There's been a lot of recording of music just based on the artists who come, but we're down for whatever. If we want to paint a giant mural, that'd be great with me. But the goal is supported mentorship of the creative process. They're learning songwriting, they're learning writing techniques, they're learning recording techniques.
Could be poetry, could be art.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically saying any form of art that somebody's wanting to come in and do.
Yeah.
So I went out to a conference, I think it was California. And outside the conference, there was like this, funny enough, this like little bar area, right? And lounge that served alcohol. And there was a sign and it said, laugh yourself sober.
Yeah.
And it was the day and time and all that. And so I thought, man, I got nothing going on in the evening. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever, and it's literally like, instead of just like your typical fellowship meeting, like they had a stage, open mic audience, right? They're serving seltzer waters and sodas, right? And
that's awesome.
People are like getting up and just basically like cracking jokes about the old days of using or like how awkward like dating is when you get sober, you know. I had a really good time, you know, and I thought, man, I wish there was more stuff like that in Utah. You know?
Oh my gosh. Well, and because we have such this like bizarre shared culture, and comedy is so much about making fun of your own culture. And we've had comedians in our shows before that bring down the house. Like there was this one girl, and she had never done stand-up comedy before, and she had that room roaring. And this is something I love about our audiences at our shows, is that because we are all in this recovery world with each other, the audience is so supportive of the artist. Like that energy circuit, like the artists don't have to do anything to kind of like win over the audience. If you've ever been much on a stage, you know that when you lose the audience, it's awful. It's the worst feeling because the energy's not flowing. But the recovery audiences are just like so supportive and loud, and sometimes even raunchy, but like there's so much like heart and camaraderie where they're just like, fucking yes, go do it. And I love that about our audience.
See, I've experienced the other part of that. Like, so I oftentimes, and I still do it a little bit, but I've really tried to like find some work, recovery, life outside of that balance.
Yeah.
But I've emceed quite a few like nonprofit things, you know, Talent in the Park. We did a concert down here with Joe Nestor and Kalichi for Sobriety Foundation. And I get asked a couple times a year to MC things like that.
Yeah.
And man, ever since I went to that Laugh Yourself Sober thing, I'm like, dude, I'm going to incorporate some of that in my MC work, right? And I'll go out there.
Being funny on purpose is so brave.
Oh my God. So brave. It really is, right? Because I go out there and like, I think I'm hilarious, right? I'll crack jokes. And when it doesn't hit, you're just like,
it's the worst.
And I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I joke when I host, because I host all of our shows, and I joke that I'm funny on accident. If I were funny on purpose, I would be too scared.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
So, you know, one thing that's funny about this that I do now, it's just so wild.
But my favorite thing to say after something doesn't hit is, man, you guys are too sober. Drink up, drink up.
Yep. That's
Get
good.
It? That's a sober event. I'm just not funny, but.
When I was first in recovery, I was so shy that anytime that I would speak or share, my face would turn bright red. I was such a blusher. And I just find it really funny that now a stage is a very comfortable place for me, because I really was not at all equipped to be able to speak publicly. And so I love that my belief in what I was doing was bigger than my fear of doing it. And then it became doable.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can relate that when I first started doing this, I would post stuff on YouTube and people would literally make fun of me.
Oh,
right? And it's like, but here's the thing, right? Is like, I had to be brave enough to be bad at it until I got good.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way that, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be a really good artist, you can't be too afraid of criticism, because guess what? Like it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Have you read the book 10,000 Hours?
I have.
Right? Like things take time. And so, you know, be brave enough to suck at something long enough to get good at it.
Absolutely. Yes. I learned how to French braid, and my kids made so much fun of my early French braids. They were terrible, but look how long my hair is. I had to learn how to French braid. But when people say, so when I go into a room and I'm like inviting them into some sort of creative process and they're like, I'm not creative, I'm like, are you alive? Because if you care about something, then you are.
Absolutely.
It might not look how you think, but it's
or
in there.
are you just open to trying?
Yeah.
Right? Like, Are you open to at least some self-discovery, some
You want to make some bad art?
exploration?
I've made lots of bad art. Let's make some bad art.
Heck yeah. Talk to me about this Martin, or the bus that you referred to.
Oh, Harvey.
Harvey.
So Harvey is, you were talking about doing things that are not in alignment. My partner Phil and I went to go facilitate a group that was not in alignment, and we felt just like gimmicks of ourselves, and we're like, this is not creative. Like, what are we doing? I felt like a car salesman. I'm sure car salesmen are fine and creative in their way, but
I get the saying. Yeah, for sure.
you get the saying. And so we needed a creative endeavor. And I was like, we've always talked about buying a bus and turning it into a recording studio. Let's do it. And we got on KSL, and there was this old short bus in this lady's backyard.
Sweet.
He had been totally gutted. He didn't even have a driver's seat. Spray painted black by the University of Utah Tailgating Society or something.
Sweet.
Yeah. We went and saw Harvey. He was named Harvey before we got him, actually. And Phil said, should we think about it first? And I was like, nah, we've already been thinking about it. Let's just buy it. And so we bought it. And so we've been building him as a recording studio bus ever since. And he's pretty dialed in at this point. He comes on our immersive workshops. He's one of the recording studio spaces. He's got red shag carpet on the ceiling, which was my idea. He's vibey, he's cushy, he's magical. He's a 4 microphones, so there's 2 couches facing and there's 4 microphones, and we've had so many wonderful conversations in there.
That's sweet.
Since we started taking him on trips, there's so much music that happens in there. There's like neon lights at night, and people will be out there till midnight just jamming.
That's cool.
It's got a vocal booth with a red velvet curtain. He's great.
Well, maybe the next time we get together on a podcast, it'll be inside Harvey. I can come be on your podcast.
I would love that. Yeah, we're taking Harvey. So Mentor and Muse is taking Harvey on the road to bring art to communities maybe with less resources for recovery. So we'll be in Moab and Price this summer.
I love Moab.
Yeah.
I love Moab.
Dude, come to Moab. We'll record the podcast there.
Have you actually, there is a doctor in Moab. I'm telling you, this lady, she knows so much about addiction.
Okay.
And she does,
Should I go talk
I gotta
to her?
connect you. Connect you. I'll give you, after this, I'll give you her phone number,
I would
and
love
you can
that.
reach out to her. She does a podcast called The Addiction Files.
Mm.
And let me just give her a shout out. Paula Cook is her name.
I know her.
You know Paula?
Yeah, because I've been in the Artists for Recovery community show that she and her, I think, daughter Indigo put together. So yeah, curly hair.
Yes. Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah, I follow her on
Love
TikTok.
you, Paula.
And
Hi, Paula.
yeah, me and her, I've been trying to pin her down on a date that we can talk about steroid abuse.
Okay.
Because it's a common thing that I see. Like,
For sure.
see people that go to residential, and for whatever reason they get in an outpatient and they lack self-esteem and self-worth. And so what do? They jump on a bunch of steroids, and then they crash from those, and then they go back out, and it's a thing. So I wanted to bring some awareness around that. Like,
Good.
in my opinion,
That's wonderful.
if you're using a bunch of steroids, you're not in recovery.
Yeah, or you got another layer.
That's a good way.
You got another layer, because at 3 years in recovery, I went to Overeaters Anonymous and addressed deep, probably longer than I was addicted to alcohol, anorexia, bulimia, compulsive eating, compulsive exercise, all of that stuff. And I wasn't ready to meet that layer until I had to get through the first layer.
Right.
But when I was going through that, I felt like no one was talking about that, and it really would have taken me down, and it was very scary to meet that, to find resources for that, to find anybody who was even talking about it. And I was like, I know that I know I'm not the only one. So I love that you're talking about it, because for many people there is a next layer.
For sure. When I was a clinical director over a residential program and an outpatient program, I would tell the residential staff, let's be really aware of what this morphs into.
Yeah.
Because when we take away the substance, typically something else comes out.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's the anorexia, bulimia, there's behavioral things that start to
Well, I mean,
pop
with
their
electronics
heads.
nowadays, there's a whole list of things that you could get
Right.
hooked on. Yeah.
Right. And I think honestly, like some of that stuff is not talked about enough.
Yeah.
We've spent so much time focusing on the chemical, and it's like this is so much more than the chemical. The chemical is just the most obvious piece. If you think of like a flower, the chemical is the blossomed rose that's really pretty and everybody wants to smell and it looks beautiful. But what's really needing to be addressed is the stem and the roots and that whole system. So yeah, I love it. I love what you guys are doing.
Me too.
And I appreciate you coming on the podcast. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get in touch?
So you can follow us on Instagram, OwnItSLC, or mentor.and.muse is also Instagram. Our website, mentorandmuse.org, ownitslc.com. We have a podcast on all platforms called Own It SLC that's been going for 6 years. The early episodes are super weird and embarrassing, and you could blackmail me probably if you listen to them. We have a Facebook page.
You know everybody's going to listen to those early ones now, right?
I hope so.
Isn't it so crazy though to like go, because we talked about this before we started, we hit record, is we both have been doing this about the same amount of time. Like this was birthed out of COVID for both of us. And it's crazy to go back and listen to yourself like 6 years ago, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, I have the worst anxiety.
Really?
Oh, and listen, I still have anxiety, but I'm like dialed down to a 2. I was like a 10.
Wow.
But
Is
I
your
told
voice
you our
shaking?
old-
Does your voice shake?
Oh yeah, and I was just so like almost when you have imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Like at the time I was just working. I was working in the field, but I wasn't licensed or credentialed or anything. And my co-host is Dr. Terry Sellers, who's worked in the field forever, and he's a freaking medical doctor, right? And I just had such imposter syndrome that when I listened to it, I'm like, that's a dude trying to compensate.
Sure.
Like I'm trying to sound more smart than I am. I'm trying to be more serious than I need to be. I was just so uncomfortable because I was so intimidated.
Yeah.
Right. And yet at the same time, like I can have grace when I look back on that Jared, because I had to be that Jared to get to this point.
Right.
And so it's just interesting, the transformation. I'm going to go listen to your early stuff now.
But you carried on. Why? Like, why? What was it that this is so interesting?
Because it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
This podcast is so much bigger than me. It has my name in it.
Sure.
The only reason it has my name in it is just because We Do Recover was already taken on all the platforms. I think people don't realize that when they're just the audience. Like you have to have like a unique title, because if it's already taken, you can't have it. Right. And so, but getting back to it's bigger than me. You know how many people come on and will share their story and they're in so much shame, where they have family members that haven't talked to them in years.
Yeah.
And then we put it out and I kind of talk to them through, and we can laugh about some of the stuff that they've been carrying the shame about. And it's there's a therapeutic process about sharing your story.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden I get people that say, man, I'm going to get emotional. Like, hey man, I had a sister that didn't talk to me for 5 years. And my sister listened to the episode, a family member sent it to her, and she called me for the first time.
Yes.
It's bigger than me.
I hear you. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. There have been so many artists on our stage who, just by owning what they have to express, it changes the trajectory of their lives. And that's not me. I'm just, like you have this room, you're just doing your job. And those of us who understand how interrelated we all are doing our jobs.
Yeah.
I commend you. That's beautiful.
I also get a ton of people that send me emails and, hey,
good.
looking for a good treatment center. Where can I trust? Who do you recommend? It really has turned into something cool, something beautiful, something bigger than myself.
Yeah. And it could just keep going on forever.
Yeah. Why is it that you continue to do it?
Because I love. I mean, that's like the simplest answer is because I can and I care, and there are personal moments that have let me know. I don't think any of us could ever fully describe like the intricate divine, like spiritual guidance that we get just going through our lives. You have a conversation with somebody, you read a book, or you you're walking down the street and something occurs to you. Like, this is where I have been led. This is what I've been led to do. And it seems to be just in my spirit. Like, it's how I've been. And so I started writing and when I was so young, 12, and I just feel like I've been on this trail of very specifically like art, but writing and books and literature. And so I feel like I've been led by that love, and it's just where it's brought me to,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else that you wanted to chat about, or?
If there's anything that I would like to still say, it's thank you to the people who were my teachers, because, you said, why do you do it? I remember when I was first kind of carving out what my career would be, if you could call it that.
Your path?
Sure. Yeah. Like how I would be in the world, what my life would be about. It's wonderful to know what your life's about in your 40s because you got a little time to do it. But it was, I stepped into the role of teacher because I was so grateful to the teachers who had done that for me. And I think so often we think of our teachers as people who know more than we do or are judging us, or like, we there's some kind of pedestal, or we think that they are in some way other than us. And when I became a teacher, I realized they're also finding their way. They're also scared. They're also wondering if anyone even cares about the things that they're trying to teach. Like, as somebody who holds groups and tries to teach people things, it's actually a very vulnerable thing to be a teacher, to try to share what is most valuable to you with another person. That's a vulnerable thing for the teacher to do. And yet they do it anyway because probably they're grateful to their teachers. And so I'm so grateful for my teachers, specifically Nancy Moore has been an amazing teacher for me. And the 12-step roots have been an amazing teacher, the foundational teacher of how to be. My mother has been a teacher for me. My grandmother has been a teacher. My children have been teachers. So, you ask, why do you do it? And it's also because of them, because I'm grateful to them that they got bold enough and tried to teach me something.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely something beautiful about when you're able to take your mess, turn it into a message, and then help others find their path, right? Just like somebody helped you find yours.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, there's really no hierarchy because you're both just fellow travelers.
Yeah.
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 It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, fellow traveler.